The most prestigious Czech and Slovak virtual racing series is back. 20 of the best drivers from Czechia and Slovakia. 12 races at some of the most famous circuits in the world. Who is going to become the new champion? This is the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2022 season. Hello and welcome back to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2022 season. We've returned for the second race of the year and the second race in the AMG GT3 car. And this time we're in sunny Florida. My name is Justin Sutton and joining me today it is, of course, Chris Buxton.
Under the lights of Daytona, we will do battle in these beautiful GT3 cars yet again. Cannot wait. Broken record statement, I know, and I don't apologise for making it either. Look at that. Lucas Buxton starting as he means to go on with Martin Stefanko, the returning ace, hot on his heels. And Lucas Buxton, our last season's champion, right with him. David Buxton doing what he could to hold on to the top spot. But again, we've got so many new names to look forward to in a very, very different circuit than we had last time out in Imola.
In the team's championship, it is ERT Racing leading the way on 40 points, 11 points ahead of Entropic, but then just 1 point between Entropic and ESET. Another 9 points back down to Lenovo, and then Carvago in 5th position. And here are the conditions that the drivers will be facing today. 69 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees centigrade air temperature. It is quite cool out there. Track temperature very similar, of course, because it is, of course, nighttime. So that is why.
Oh, Martin Nadlik, what a great effort there. David Buxton on the front row, already surprises on our grid. There's Lucas Buxton, the one we normally expect up front, with Martin Stefanko right alongside. Less than a tenth of a second separating our top two. Siritek and Spot Starter again.
Wow.
Lucas struggling a little bit there on the road 3. Michael Lehman and Peter Hermark. Oh, great effort there for Carvago. Nicely done. Eric Vizzi in 9th. Pavel Maracek in 10th position. Thomas Kearney on row 6. So some good names in the midfield. And Jan Brunner and Miroslav Svoboda, the big man on row 7. And then just so many good names to have to go through. But I'm really surprised at the top end of the field just being really shuffled up there. And only 1.5 seconds top to bottom. Oh, wow, that is a great one to see. But you can never discount those Entropic cars really making that bolt for it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. They're a little bit further down on row 3, but I would expect them to make progress in the race. A bit surprised to see Sirotech actually, the leading Entropic car. As we prepare to go racing, we have a short drive down towards the start line, but it is, of course, going to be a rolling start, just like we had last time.
Yeah, so we're just coming through the bus stop here, which is turns 8 through to 11. Major opportunities for overtaking going to be into turn 1. You're coming off of turn 12 at absolutely full crank, which is what we're just going through now, into a bit of a a difficult braking zone as you're trying to turn and slow down at the same time. Look at that. The ERT number 18 trying to push his way through. You can't start the race like that, good sir. There might be a bit of an opportunity into turn 6, which is where they come out of the infield and back onto the banking, because you really want to be getting a good run through that long turn number 7. Bus stop, not likely, unless someone makes a mistake. There's not a big braking zone there, but we're in for a good race nonetheless.
Good to see Lenovo up at the front after maybe a race that didn't go exactly to plan for them, but starting really well here with Nadlik, and then again David Pichata starting from second position as we're preparing to go racing. The safety car has pulled off. You can see the field bunching right up. They are preparing to go, and there he goes. There goes Martin Nadlik. He's accelerated away. We have green lights, and it's going to be side by side for the Pichata brothers as well. The two ERT cars go side by side into turn 1, and I think that's David Pichata actually losing out on that second place position, if I'm not mistaken, and Lucas taking that spot, if I'm not mistaken, as they make their way through turn 2 down towards turn 3. Oh yeah, that's a big shock. Is that 2 big shocks? That's both big shock cars getting involved in the first corner. That's not a great way to start the race for them.
Oh, what's the golden rule? You never hit we don't know that they actually hit each other. Oh, Maracek, that's a very unhappy car. Look at that from 10th position. That car is it's going for a wander, quite frankly. Oh, what a great shame there. Now we're looking at Hermark in the Cavago car in 9th position. Then obviously everyone from 10th downwards capitalising on the early troubles. But Martin Nadlik had such a stormy start, and then Lucas Pichata just said, "No, denied, sir," as I'm going to then chase off after you. I wonder if there was a bit of team orders going on between the Pichata brothers. You wouldn't expect it so early on in the race. Of course, Lucas is the championship leader, having won last time out at Imola. There is Eric Vizzi. He was really renowned, particularly in the single-seaters last season, for really storming through the field. Maracek has returned his car to the pits. That's not a surprise. Hopefully get a replay of what on earth happened to him. What indeed happened to the Big Shock pair, as we now look at Monstefenko in 4th position with both Entropy cars right behind him. And there is, as mentioned, Eric Vizzi into 8th position now. But Lucas Pichata is nailed to the back of Martin Nadlik, exactly as you would expect him to be.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for a move here. Actually, as we come to the end of the first lap to start the second lap, he's going to have to go the long way around. It's not the first corner. It is technically the start-finish straight, but he has indeed, with the benefit of that slipstream, he's able to get that top speed that he needs on the run down towards turn 1. Sirotech still the leading Entropic car ahead of Podstata, who, remember, didn't go super great here last season previously. Oh, that's the Carvago car of Hermark trying to go around the outside into turn 3, just really hustling that ESEC car up ahead of him of Corny. Really seems to want to get by. In fact, I think he's actually lost
the
position.
Spot. Yeah,
he has indeed.
Corny.
Yeah, Corny's moved up into 9th. Hermark's down into 10th, but you can see he's not ready to give that place up. I wonder if he's had some sort of mistake that's allowed Corny to get through, because again, he does seem to be just climbing all over the back of that ESEC car. He certainly seems to think he's fast enough to get back through into 9th position. We'll have to see whether or not, if that ends up being the case. You can see he holds a slightly tighter line as he comes onto the oval part of the track as we get onto the banking now towards the final part of the lap. But of course, we still have to navigate the bus stop, which could be an overtaking opportunity, but let's be honest, isn't the ideal choice for the drivers.
No, it's not a very big braking zone coming down into the bus stop. Yeah, you're going to be on the brakes for a little bit, but it's very, very, very tight. If you're going to make an overtake there, you really need your opponent to have made a mistake on that banking, getting out of the infield onto and through turn 7. That's the only way, realistically, you're going to get the momentum you need to make a overtake into the bus stop. But yeah, Hermark, a bit of a shame. He started in 8th. He's already lost 2 positions in this race. Let us see. Now this is what happened to the Big Shot cars. What has happened here? All right, bit of bumping. That's one of the ESEC cars on the inside line. And bang, there it is. Oh, so Maracek he was hit really, really hard, wasn't he? By his own teammate as well. Oh, that's never what you want to say. Oh, that's Sheps that's one of the Benzina cars that's in.
And something tells me that's not a planned stop with over 50 minutes of racing still to go. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be that's going to be intended. And we're still looking at Hermach, by the way, who is still holding on to that 10th place position right behind Corny. A bit of a gap now starting to form ahead of Eric Vizzi, interestingly enough. Michael Lehman starting to put more than a second between himself and the Lenovo Legion driver. And Thomas Corny is certainly going to be very aware of that and is going to know about that gap and is going to possibly be looking to make that overtake into turn 1. He's going to try and do what Lucas Pichata did not that long ago on Martin Nadlick, of course. Hermach a little too far back, but Corny, he's actually bump drafting the Lenovo, I think, ahead of him as they get down into the bus stop. Again, he's going to stay behind for the meantime, but clearly he means business. I mean, he's just made, I think, slight contact. Again, I think it was a little bit of a bump draft going on. They do have to be careful about that, though, because they can damage the giant rear wing at the back of that AMG GT3 car. So if he's going to do that, and now look at that, actually, it's Hermach that's doing the bump drafting.
It's not ideal in GT3 cars. They're not really built for it. These things do have a relatively flat nose, and you can have a gain from it. Those that understand how bump drafting works is where the car behind ends up pushing the car in front because the one behind doesn't have any air resistance or has less of it than the one in front. Oh, that's getting a bit Svoboda. That's getting a little bit squiggly coming into turn 1, but does manage to hold it. So the intent is that you then push the car ahead of you to go that little bit faster, and you're still pressing on because you have no air resistance. So, I mean, there comes a point of no return. Yes, there's a point where you can't push any harder. That's the idea, but there's two things that will go against GT3 cars doing it, or certainly these cars doing it in iRacing. One is the penalty count. You will, as the incident count rather, you will build up incidents by hitting the car ahead of you. There may be a bit of leniency if you just bump draft and stay there, but you do run the risk of kind of tapping the car ahead of you rather than just trying to push it forwards. So that's one thing. And two, GT3 cars aren't designed for it. They don't particularly like having their front grille completely stuffed full of someone else's exhaust pipe, so they will get rather hot. Yeah, what's happened to Pavel Sheps then? We've seen his car in the pits. He's very much on his own here into the bus stop. Oops! Oh
no!
That's going to hurt. Yeah, he's a big amount of apex on that turn 10, and that's just pitched him into the wall. That's a one-way ticket to the pit lane.
Yeah, that is a really heavy impact. That's definitely going to cause a big issue. That's Thomas Hora. Moving, I thought he was moving slowly, but no, he was actually just making his way onto the banking, down in 18th position, way off the rest of the field. And I was going to say, actually, from 2nd through 17th, everybody is within 1 second of the car ahead, except for Eric Vizzi in 8th position, who really does seem to be the cork in the champagne bottle, as it were, when it comes to all of the cars behind him. Corny, Hermach, Bruna, they all seem quite keen, as there you go. Those are the gaps, actually, between all of the drivers that have just come up. You can see Vizzi's about 2 seconds away from the next car. Everybody else, all the way down to Krejci, is within about half a second even. That's how close the field is. And certainly Corny is going to know. And look at that. And because of that cork in the bottle, that has caused a little bit of a bubbling up of battling to happen a little bit further behind. Hermach in real danger of losing that 10th place position to Bruna. Or is that him going on the attack on Corny? Excuse me. No. That is, in fact, Bruna in the Navitel. Yep. And then also the other Carvago car of Svoboda also getting involved in this. Again, don't forget they came into this in 5th position in the teams championship, so they're definitely looking to continue that solid point scoring streak here.
Yeah, Martin Svoboda has made a position. As you can see at the bottom of the screen there, the 14th is his starting position. So he's up 1 at the moment. He does say brackets 2 because at some point he's actually lost the spots of the car ahead, which is Simbera. In the Bruno's brought his Navatel car in. That's got to be a problem. Surely there's.
Yeah.
No, he's lagged. That's why the tower gets confused, and so did I on this occasion, because he just vanished into thin air, and the game assumes that he is in the pit lane, which of course he didn't. But of course we can't see him from this particular camera angle, so I thought he'd had a problem and returned his car to the pits. No, he's carrying on in this particular train. So on board with Svoboda, you can see what the challenge really is. You've got to stay in the tyre tracks of the car already ahead of you. That in itself isn't really an issue. As we see, that's Bruna, isn't it, that's gone high. He's trying to let his teammate through. He doesn't really want to be letting Svoboda through, but the big man, as you can see in the picture, he's letting lots of cars through. He must have made a mistake there, or He tried to let one car through and has ended up letting several through as he then banzais back on the inside of Martin Krater in the Mecha All-4 Sim car. Oh, now, was that a mistake, or was he trying to let his teammate through? I wonder whether Zambera was trying to let his teammate through, not realising just how many cars were in really, really short order, because I can't see what mistake he would have made. Wow, Martin Krater getting a bit determined coming into turn 5, trying to make a move there. It's certainly possible to do, but you're not up to a very big speed coming through turn 5, so you don't therefore have a very big braking zone to make a move there. But he's hustling, wanting to make his way through the field.
The Carvago and Navitel teams, I would say, giving us a real show today here at Daytona. All 4 of those drivers heavily involved in these battles for the lower points positions. Remember, it is the top 15 that score points here in VGP. So all of those battles are for points and championship points towards those fantastic prizes. So no surprise to see them going at it tooth and nail. But through they go, through the bus stop once again, and back over towards the banking and up to the banking and high speeds now. Once again on board with Svoboda, or having a look at Svoboda as he gets very close to the back of that Navitel car, thinks about possibly moving to the right-hand side, but then of course he would lose that slipstream, and there goes the second Navitel car. That's Bruna, who's going to have a look around the outside. He's going to try and do a double overtake here. Don't forget as well, just for the people at home, these drivers would have picked their own setup, so possibly a lower downforce setup. Oh, and very deep into the corner, very, very different lines being taken by all of these different drivers, but it is Bruna that comes out ahead in all of that one. Svoboda up to 12th position as well. You can see Krejci is pretty upset about that. He's got a little bit of damage to his AMG GT3 as well.
Yeah, he does. Now, that's Michael Shambara that is, I think he's desynced, or he's lagging or something, because that was a very odd. But I was seeing headlights through his car. I knew that Svoboda was close, but to see a headlights from the car behind through it is something a little bit different. So I think there's a bit of lag going on there. I think that's what Martin Krejci was... I beg your pardon. That's what... Martin Krejci, I was right, was getting a bit upset about. So he obviously had to make a bit of a correction there, because... You know, when you've got cars that are slightly desynced to you, it's often difficult to know exactly where they are. So he had to take a bit of avoiding action there. And there's the entropic power. I was just wondering where they were. Martin Savenko is a couple of seconds off the back, or about 1.5 seconds behind David Pichada at the moment. And there they are. Now he could be biding his time, which is exactly what he did last time. But the entropic pair, again, is Sirotech ahead of the champion of Podstarter. Quite an unusual... Podstarter didn't have a great race last time. It was still a fairly decent race, admittedly. I was trying to look at where did Podstarter... He finished 3rd, so he was on the podium in the end. But it wasn't an overall particularly good... Oh, well, before I even finished that particular sentence, Eric Vizzi. He was up in 8th. He's made a mistake somewhere, as now Hermok is trying to make up for some lost time. Eric Vizzi's made a mistake somewhere, because suddenly he's down to... Oh, nice move from the Carvago number 13. Very good effort there of Peter Hermok, getting that 8th position, gaining 2, one through Eric Vizzi's mistake, and a great move on Thomas Korony.
Worth remembering for the folks at home that Hermok is very much a rookie in this series, but having to do a lot of overtaking, getting the elbows out here today at Daytona, and doing a fantastic job, I have to say. As a result of all that battling, though, he does now have a 5-second gap to Michael Lehman up ahead. Again, remember, Vizzi was a little bit the cork in the bottle, as we mentioned earlier. So who knows, maybe Hermok may be able to start to close that gap down potentially, and start getting a little bit closer to the top 7, but something tells me that Thomas Korony is not going to make that easy for him. He is right behind and has been certainly acting like he really wants to get into a bit of a dogfight, so it wouldn't surprise me if we see the two of them going door to door very shortly here. Probably not into the bus stop chicane, though, I would expect. As we've mentioned before, not the easiest of overtaking locations, and very often, if you try to go side by side there, you may end up just losing a position to the car behind rather than making up a position to the car ahead. But Hermok was very quick through that chicane, if I'm not mistaken, Corny's definitely lost out a little bit of time, and that could be good news for Hermach if Vizzy can possibly start to harass him a little bit. So Hermach seems to be safe. I think he's going to be safe on this occasion into turn 1. So yeah, I don't think he's going to have to go defensive or anything like that, which is great news because you're just carrying so much dang speed into turn 1. And we saw just a lap or two ago how tricky it can be to go side by side through there. And there's so many different lines and you're carrying so much speed. Sometimes you're carrying more speed than you were the lap before because of a slipstream that you weren't getting the previous lap. Stuff like that, which can just make things very exciting. But here we go. The battle for the lower points positions continues to rage. That is Krejci just trying to get up into 13th at the tail end of this fight.
He's determined, isn't he? Look at the damage. So he's taken a whack at some point. Now, we saw last lap he was flashing his lights. He was unhappy about something. And that damage isn't going to be helping him whatsoever. It's slightly obscuring his view even. It's not ideal, but he's still nailed to the back of the Navitel car of Chambera. So staying in this particular pack in case if somebody makes a mistake, he is of course right there to capitalise on it. Yeah, can Peter Hermach make a difference there to that 5-second gap? I mean, we will see. But Michael Lehman himself in a 4-car train behind Marcin Stefanko in 4th. So Lehman's going to be gaining some slipstream. That gap now 6 seconds. So Hermach is going to have a very, very hard job unless realistically he's pushed, which I don't really think that Thomas Corny is going to be wanting to push his opponent towards the front end of the grid. Oh, Krejci, you're not supposed to go onto the apron to make a move, and it's highly, highly inadvisable to try and do that, just because when the car snaps back onto the banking, it can cause all kinds of problems. I'm not really too sure that Krejci was looking for that. Again, just nudging the car ahead, utilising that slipstream as best he can. He's going to... Oh, nice move, trying to cut underneath the Navitel car. That should be job done for Martin Krejci. Yep. Oh, did you hear the clunk then?
Yep.
I think that was Miroslav Svoboda that doesn't hit the back of Brunner. We didn't quite see who it was, but those two cars seem slightly out of position to where I would have expected them to be. Oh, that was Brunner as well. I beg your pardon. No, I flashed the lights there. So that was those two that came together moments ago. There is Brunner. And then you saw a moment ago that was Thomas Corny in the ESET car getting a little bit squiggly. In this light, the Navitel car and the ESET car are similar colours. They're actually blue and green, so they're actually quite different. But in the lights, the light blue of the ESET car keeps making me think it's the green of the Navitel car. So I'm going to make that mistake more than once in this broadcast. I will make that quite clear right now. As we are now looking at Brunner in the 11th place car, still keeping Miroslav Svoboda behind him, despite the fact that they kind of came together. And of course, we didn't see what the issue was, whether it was a mistake or what have you. But it was certainly something that Miroslav wasn't too happy about. That doesn't seem to be costing him any pace at the moment, as through onto the banking they come once again. It does look like Martin Krejci a little bit off the back of Miroslav Svoboda at the moment, but that so quickly changes through the course of the race. It must be a bit unnerving for Hermach leading this very big pack of piranhas right behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. This 7-car pack of hyenas is just frothing at the mouth for that 8th place position that Hermach is currently holding on to. Remember, it wasn't that long ago that Vizzy was holding on to it. Oh, and that is Svoboda trying to find a way through on Brunner, but unfortunately for him, just couldn't find a way through. But they're starting to close up again. I noticed that they had spread out a little bit, very briefly there, towards the second half of that previous lap. But here they go once again, closing right back up. This time, though, it is Krejci in 13th position, Chambera down in 14th position. But yeah, it was the top 7, and then the next 7. Oh, that's an almighty dive bomb from Krejci down the inside into turn 5, and it looks like he's going to do it. He's going to get the position on Svoboda. He's up into 12th position. Great move by Krejci, who he seems like he's had a little bit of pace compared to the cars ahead ever so slightly. And I can confirm that Hermach is losing time to the top 7. So even after taking that 8th place position, he hasn't gotten any closer to Michael Lehman. If anything, he's gotten further away. That gap now almost 8 seconds as we get nearer and nearer to the halfway point of this race here in Daytona. But Krejci, the man on the move up into 12th position, going to be eyeing probably a couple more positions based on the way that he's been making overtakes in this pack. And it's so difficult, isn't it, to make overtakes in a pack like this? When the car ahead of you is getting slipstream, it just makes it that much harder.
Yeah, absolutely, especially where we did it there in the middle of the infield section. That was a big move, caught me completely by surprise as Podstarter is now ahead of his teammate. So Podstarter and Sirotech have swapped round from the last time we looked at them, and it looked like Podstarter was having a think about attacking Martin Stefanko, but didn't quite come off as we jump back to Svoboda, that is now into 13th position. Oh, you can see the car ahead. That's Krejci's car getting very, very uncomfortable, or looking very uncomfortable, I should say, through turn 1. It didn't look like it wanted to behave. And again, Svoboda looks like he's trying to make that move, isn't he? It does look like he's determined to make that move into turn 3. It's very hard to make a move there, although it's equally as difficult to make a move in turn 5. It's just no one told Martin Krejci that as he flew on the inside of the Kavago car. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Justin. It's so difficult to make a move at Daytona, not necessarily just in GT3s, it's pretty much anything. Unless you've got such a big, unless it's some kind of mixed race like, I don't know, LMP and GT3, for instance, where you have a big pace advantage over the ones that you're chasing. Of course, these guys don't have that. Everybody is slipstreaming other than the one at the front of the pack. But then equally, as soon as you gain any tiny advantage, because everybody is absolutely flat out, there's not a lot of lifting off of the right foot at Daytona. It's so difficult to get enough of a speed difference to actually get past anyone. So this is all about patience, it's all about application of pressure and conservation of momentum.
That's an interesting move. Okay, yeah, I thought for a moment there that we might have some movement going on up at the front, and that is David Pichata going to the outside down towards turn 1. Martin Nadlik, who's now in turn thinking about going up the inside, it looked like, on Lucas Pichata there, almost defending the overtake by going for an overtake, it seemed like there for me for Martin Nadlik, who, again, was on pole position. He's down 1 place from where he started in this race, but still driving exceedingly well, especially because we know how quick the Pichata brothers are, and we have seen how quick Martin Nadlik can be. He's maybe one of those drivers from last season that showed some real brilliance at multiple points during the course of the season, but maybe just suffered a little bit from consistency, but seemingly very, very quick. And it really does seem that the top 7 in this race have unlocked a little bit of extra pace compared to the next group down. We are quite segmented at this point. The top 3 very much running together, all within 1 second, in fact. Then we've got a group of 4 from that consists of Stefanko, the 2 Entropic drivers, and Michael Lehman, who is right at the back of that. I'm sure he's going to be making some kind of move as the race goes on. And then we've got that 7-car battle for 8th position, which goes all the way down to Chambera. And then we've got a 3-car battle for 15th as well, which, remember, is the final championship points as well. So certainly the likes of Kiesel, Urbanchik, they're going to be battling it out right down towards the end. And in fact, they're going to be giving it absolutely everything for that championship point, because you never know when it's going to come in handy, especially towards the end of the season.
Oh, absolutely, especially for the team's championship as well. As we saw last season, it came right down to the wire with the Pichata brothers fighting the Entropic pair. I think what's going on here between the Pichata brothers, what Lucas is trying to do is give David Pichata a bit of slipstream without giving Nadlik an advantage. That's why we saw Lucas go very, very high on the banking coming through down to turn 1, but Nadlik didn't follow. So David, quite wisely, tried to get the slipstream. He's close enough to do it just about. Although in this lap he wouldn't realistically gain, but last time he was much closer than this, so he would have gained a little bit, but Nadlik saw what was going on and still managed to divide the ERT pair. So Nadlik, who finished 6th last time, was still a good finishing position, is on course to really, really improve on his championship standing. Slightly further back, this is the next pack of piranhas, or hyenas as you call them. That's still making me giggle. So Stefanko is still leading that way, and again, because he's not got anybody to slipstream off, he's not gaining on David Pichardo, who himself has lost a little bit off the back of Martin Nadler, but not enough that he would lose slipstream entirely. He's just about hanging on to that. It's around about 8/10 or so is where slipstream will start to benefit. If you're within 8/10, is give or take, it's not an exact science, but it's something along that kind of line that you will actually gain a slipstream advantage in these GT3 cars. Now, of course, Stefanko doesn't have anything of the sort. He's just keeping the Entropic pair and Michael Lehman for company at the moment. But this pack has just been minding its own business. Other than the Entropic pair swapping round, we haven't really seen any particular battling in this particular pack. The pack behind them, however, they've got plenty of arguing to go on. Oh, like so! Perfect time.
Yep, in fact, it's going on right now as Chambera makes the move on Svoboda, who's moving back down. It was looking like Svoboda was making up positions there at one point. Oh, and look at that, a bit of a gap now starting to form between Krejci and Chambera. So actually, if these two aren't careful, Chambera and Svoboda could easily fall back from the other 5 cars that are in that battle for 8th position. So they got to be very, very cautious here about how they battle one another, because yes, it is important to pick up extra points whenever you possibly can, but if that means losing out on any chance of picking up more points by dropping back from the 5 cars up ahead, that's definitely not going to be ideal. So they're going to be very careful about how they debate this, and of course, if they battle too much, then they're going to fall into the clutches of Urban, Chick, and Kiesel, who are actually just in the back of the shot there. You can just see them coming into shot there as this pair makes their way through turn 5. So, and that's the thing. We have all these gaps. Yes, there's a gap between 3rd and 4th, and there's a gap between 7th and 8th, but the gaps are not that big. If you have one little excursion, one little spin, one little half spin even, you could easily slip from one group to the next.
Yeah, totally. And you'll find it nearly impossible to get from one group up to the one ahead of you. Yeah. You'll find it very easily to go backwards. Really, really easily to do that. And again, it's down to the slipstream. It's down to that advantage you get by that slipstream, or the disadvantage you get for not having is a little bit more. Oh, that's trouble for the Carvago. That's Hermark. He's lost 8th. He's been leading that particular pack. He's made a mistake. I reckon he's gotten turns 10 and 11 completely wrong. Look at the amount of momentum he's lost. And that's going to drop him right the way, almost to the back of this particular train. That's actually going to help Chambera. Flash of the lights. Oh, never mind. Both of the Carvago cars coming in. Now, as a reminder, yes, they can do that. They're not shared pit boxes. It's not one team, one pit box, anything like that. All 20 cars could come in at the same time if they so felt like it. Yep. So interesting, both the Carvago cars. But then, look at how much time has flown by. Again, the race has just absolutely disappeared. We are around about the halfway stage. So the Carvago cars, even though they're first to make a planned pit stop, it is right on the halfway stage. And also, I just noticed, I was just looking at this pack and thinking, hang on, this isn't how we left it. And it's not. This Stefanko has actually fallen prey to Podstarter, who is now up into 4th position. But again, unless there's a major impact in those top 3, that could well be as far as Podstarter climbed. However, how many times have I made a statement like that and for then, I don't know, a few laps later to be completely proved wrong? This is what happened to Peter Hermark then in the Carvago car. He's gone, okay, so he's made that mistake going into the bus stop. He's way, way too hot. And because he had to get out of it, he'd lost all that momentum. And as I said earlier, conservation of momentum is so, so crucial here at Daytona.
You are flat out from the bus stop all the way until the braking zone at turn 1. That is the absolute worst place for him to have had that issue. So, yeah, that is not ideal. But thankfully, he didn't pick up any sort of damage or anything. Hermark is still definitely very much involved in that battle, but I think a lot of that hard work that he put in to getting to the front of that battle has been undone by that mistake. And as you say, Stefanko now down into 5th position. The 2021 VGP champion, clearly showing that he's still got it. He's up into 4th position. He's made up 2 positions in this race, and there we go. That battle for 8th position. 4 more cars have peeled off into the pits. So clearly we are definitely firmly into the pit stop window at this stage. But we haven't seen anybody from the top 7 come in, which is very interesting. We're seeing lots of cars from the midfield coming into the pits, but nobody from the top 7 has decided to pull the trigger on that one. It looked to me like Sirotech was losing the back end ever so slightly coming out of turn 5 there, but he is very, very close to the back of Martin Stefanko, who seems to maybe be struggling ever so slightly as the laps tick down here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the disadvantage you have of being in the slipstream is you don't have the aerodynamic advantage into the corners. But the corners in the midfield, or in the infield, beg your pardon, are very slow. You don't really utilize the aerodynamics at all. In order to use aerodynamics, you need to be at speed. As we jump back to her mark. Oh, not wasting any time. Following the Cavago pit stop, getting straight onto Chambera's case, trying to get ahead of the Navitel car as Michael Lehman. Is he coming into the pits? The board can't decide. Chambera's trying his best to hang on to that spot. He's not going to get that one. Oh, talk about thread in the eye of the needle. He saw both Cavago cars there and somehow managed to divide them. I would think Miroslav Svoboda, as we now jump on board with him, probably hit the brakes a bit harder than he would like. Martin Nadig regaining that fastest lap as he continues to push off after Lucas Prachada for the lead. But wow, that was well driven from this particular group, as they've essentially just restarted their battle now that this particular pack have done their pit stops. Still a few more from their group that have yet to see the pit lane. But yeah, expect more of this. But of course, as the race gets more to a close, you're going to start seeing people just not leaving anything left in the tank. They're going to push as hard as they can. If anybody's leaving anything in reserve, which at this stage of the race they should have been, now's the time they're going to absolutely put everything on the table.
Thomas Hora for the Big Shock team is also into the pits, so he is going to come in for his one and only stop. Svoboda getting a heck of a run here, is going to look to the inside, but unfortunately that door closes on him as the Navitel looks to the outside. That's going to open up the door for him once again, now down towards turn 1. He's very late on the brakes. If he's not careful, he's going to make contact with his teammate, but no, he's done it. But a bit of a switchback maneuver for the Navitel car just behind him, and that's going to be Chambera trying to fight back on that one, but unfortunately for him, I don't think it's going to work. Oh no! The Lenovo Legion comes in. That's Eric Vizzi making contact with the Carvago of Svoboda, and that's also hindered Chambera desperately as well. So I think Vizzi could potentially be coming, and of course he probably thinks that that it was actually Svoboda that did that to him. But yeah, I think it was actually Vizzi's fault on that one. I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that one and make any sort of decisions if they need to. And there we go. We finally have one of the leaders into the pits, and it is Lucas Pachada, the championship leader, into the pits as we just ticked under 24 minutes remaining in this race.
Interesting. I thought the top 3 would come in together, but they didn't. Martin Naidlik has decided to have his moment in the spotlight and be in the lead. Banchik and Kiesel, the Puma pair, have now come in, along with Stepanovsky, the remaining Benzina Orlan car. All now serving their mandatory pit stop. We look at this particular train now up into 3rd due to other people's pit stops. Yeah, Eric Vizzi, that was on you, I'm afraid, good sir. That was too hot into turn 3, and Svoboda, I would imagine, would be rather unhappy about that. Well, so would Chambera, of course. He was heavily influenced by that one. Yeah, there's, in my opinion, there's no other way to call that. Eric Vizzi, as soon as I saw where he braked, and we've all had this. As soon as you commit to a line, you instinctively know whether it's going to work or not. It's like, I don't know, snooker or basketball or something. As soon as the ball leaves your hand, you know full well if it's going to go well. And certainly in my case, generally, if there's ball anywhere near my hand, it's not going to go well as soon as it leaves it again. I'm not a sportsman. That's why I do the shouty bit behind the microphone. But yeah, that was on Eric Vizzi, I'm afraid. Just too hot into turn 3. Trying to just break that a little bit too late, but sadly the brakes were just looking at him and smiling and saying not a chance.
Yeah, we should clarify on that one that it's just a mistake from Vizzy. Certainly, he would not intentionally take anybody out. We know he is an incredible sportsman, and definitely just a mistake on his part. But there we go. Sirotech continues on while Podstata leads the trio of cars into the pit lane now, where they will make their one and only stop. And there is Lucas Pichata, and you can see just how long the pit stops are at this track, and how much you have to slow down and everything, because of course he's just making his way out of the bus stop chicane on the other side of the track as they're making their way into the pit lane. And let's see how this is going to shape up for everybody, how the pit stop phase has treated the ERT cars, the Entropic cars, Martin Nadlick, absolutely everybody involved. We'll have to find out how Sirotech fares in all of that a little bit later, as he has stayed out. He's going to go for a bit of an undercut, and that is Lucas Pichata coming out behind his brother. So he has definitely lost out in that. He's behind Nadlick and David Pichata. And in fact, look at that, a bit of a gap. Nadlick almost 2 seconds ahead of David Pichata.
Wow, now that I did not expect. Nadley got that one absolutely spot on, as we now look at Brunner in the Navitel car getting out ahead of that. That's Krejci right behind him. So that's worked out quite well for Martin Krejci. He started in 16th and he's now up into 10th place post pit stops. Right behind there is Hermark, who was leading this particular train. Essentially, this train's reformed. It's just in a completely different order. As now Brunner is now leading the way. Here's Martin Sirotech. He's completely on his own. He's well, that's not a surprise. Notice there from Maricek. He's been out for a while, but that's just confirmation that he has now officially retired the car. As Martin Sirotech brings his car in, we would expect him to be a little bit further out. There's the other retirement that happened quite some time ago. That's Martin Nadlick in the Lenovo Legion car. Because Eric Vizzy, as we mentioned, his teammate, getting into a bit of bother earlier on. I would imagine that Martin Nadlick is doing everything he possibly can to keep that 2 second gap. Might we finally see a non-LP winner in VGP? The Pichata brothers have swapped around again. That's not a surprise. Although it would seem that David Pichata has been ahead of Lucas on merit several times now. So David Pichata really showing his sportsman qualities of giving his championship leading brother the advantage. We're going three wide, coming down into turn one. Podstata is defending against the entire world. His teammate's going to be behind this particular gap. In that pack is Martin Stefanko, and Michael Lehman is in this particular pack as well. I did say, didn't I, that after the pit stop is when no one is going to leave any cards on the table, and three wide into turn one rather highlights that particular point.
As Sirotech was coming out of the pits as well, so it was practically four wide, but of course again one car in the pit lane. But Stefanko dropped behind Lehman in the pit stop phase, but certainly he seems to think that he deserves that fifth place position as he tried to go around the outside. There goes Lehman once again on Podstata. He's got a little bit of pace. The two of them come together. That's going to be great news for Stefanko, who goes up to the high side, and Michael Lehman possibly going to cut him off, but no, he can't actually. He went the long way onto the banking and ended up the other two ended up not scrubbing off quite as much speed as maybe he had hoped, so he has to stay behind for the meantime. But Michael Lehman moves up into fourth position. Now Podstata moves to the inside as they make their way down towards the bus stop, and he's done it. I did say that you can't really overtake into the bus stop, but Podstata has done it. Meanwhile, Hermark is looking to do the same thing on Bruna. He's very, very close to the back of the Navitel. Meanwhile, it is the other Mecha Ulfrasim of Krejci, who's now on the move. So one Mecha Ulfrasim loses the position into the bus stop. The other one is up a position into the bus stop. But once again, the battling continues for this fourth place position as Stefanko and Lehman, they're now going side by side. But Stefanko picks up that slipstream. He's now going to go for the overtake up at Stada around the outside at turn one as they get onto the brakes hard. And there's been contact, I think, between the two of them. That's Lehman who goes for a bit of a spin there, and that is going to lose him tons of time, and that's going to drop him right out of that battle, and that's going to be extremely frustrating as Stefanko makes the move for fourth place on Podstata.
Wow, did that all kick off in a very, very short period of time. So what I think happened last lap between Lehman and Podstarter was that Lehman made that move into turn 6. Whether he intended to or he missed his braking point, we don't know. I did think it was a bit brutish for Michael Lehman, and then up to the bus stop, he looked a bit straightforward for Podstarter. I think Lehman backed out of it and gave Podstarter the position back again. But, of course, that all kicked off again when we got back down to turn 1, and then Michael Lehman is the one that lost out as a result of that. I'm not sure whether... I'm assuming he must have had contact with Podstarter. We didn't quite see it. We just saw Lehman's car spinning off into oblivion, and look at that, it's dropped in 5 seconds now behind this, what is now a trio, and there he is. He's going to find it very, very, very hard to close that back down, to get back involved in that particular battle. And here we go. This is what happened from Podstarter's point of view. So this is where we're on the run down to turn 1. There goes Michael Lehman. He had a hell of a slipstream as he's then... bang! There it is. So that was a bit clumsy, but very unfortunate. No malice meant at all. It was just the smearest of taps. But because the cars are braking so heavily and it's pretty bumpy down there, the car is really, really easily unsettled, and you're trying to brake and turn at the same time. So, a gust of wind is almost enough to send these things around under those conditions. So it was such a tiny step. And yes, smiling away, Martin Stefanko, I'll have 4th place back, thank you.
Yeah, it's worked out rather well for him. Oh, meanwhile, the battle for 8th position really hotting up as Krejci sends one up the inside into turn 1, but he's got the Carvago car joining him alongside him. That's Hermach, who's going to now try to look around the outside at turn 3. He's not going to work out for him. Krejci's going to hold on to that one, but now we got the other Navitel car getting involved as well. That's Bruna trying to take that position off of Krejci. Corny just up the road in the ESET car. The Carvago car, there we go, going up the inside. That's Hermach. And just behind as well, that's Eric Vizzi in the Lenovo Legion. He's going to try to look to go around the outside at turn 5. Not quite worked out for him. A bit of a switchback maneuver for him, but again, can't quite find his way past the Navitel car. But oh my gosh, this is turning into an absolutely crazy race. Lots of battling throughout the field. Really, really enjoyable stuff as well, I have to say. But I really do feel for Michael Lehman on that one. But I completely agree with your assessment on that one, Chris. I think it might possibly be a racing incident. As much as Michael Lehman would probably hate to hear me say that, I think it might have just been a racing incident. You could maybe argue that Podstata is deserving of a penalty, but I would hate to give a penalty for, hard, fair racing. It really did look like both of them were trying to leave a gap for one another, and just unfortunately, it just didn't work out. So, I really do feel for Lehman in that one, but I think, as you say, just hard racing. Bit of contact between the two of them, and Lehman's just unfortunately come off worse to wear. Meanwhile, up the road, just ahead of Eric Vizzi, Bruna trying to have a go on Hermach here on the run down towards turn 1, but of course he moves out of the slipstream. Hermach still getting the slipstream. Now he's making a move on Krejci up ahead for 9th position. He finds that inside line into turn 1, and he's done it. He's done it. Bruna tries to follow him through if he can, but no, he gets cut off by Krejci for the meantime. Krejci with the inside line surely into turn 3 is going to be able to hold on to that position. And again, no, Hermach actually loses out 3 wide. Oh no! Contact between the Mecha Ultrasim and the Navitel. That's great news for Eric Vizzi, though. They're going to make it 3 wide as they head down towards turn 4. You really don't want to be side by side through turns 4, that high-speed left-hander, and it's worked out wonderfully for Eric Vizzi, who moves himself up into the top 10. Krejci with that damaged GT3 car falls down another position, but again, incredible battling we're seeing here for the lower points positions.
I do not envy who has been pointing the cameras tonight, because they have had a lot of work to do. So, that was a mixture of kind of desperation, a little bit early to be pulling that kind of heavy move on. If we were in the last couple of laps, yeah, sure. Oh, that camera angle's really weird. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't stick with that one. That was possibly a bit too bullish from Jan Bruna. I mean, he's put himself at the back of this particular pack, but that's not going to be much consolation to Martin Krejci, who's doing what he can to try and hang on to this particular pack. Martin Nadlik in the pits. I was going to say, why is he coming in the pits again? No, he hasn't. He's just had a lag moment there. Lucas Pichard is trying his best, pushing hard to close that gap down. And here comes Jan Bruna again. He's thinking about trying to get that move done on the outside line. That's going to put him at a real disadvantage coming down into turn 1. As Eric Vizzi now giving the slipstream. slipstream, unwillingly, of course, to Martin Krejci. Is Krejci going to try and stay there or go to the inside line? Jambrin is too far back to make anything work there. No, business as usual this time around. But everybody means business now. We said earlier on that everyone's going to put their cards on the table. No sandbags left to be found. It is all scrapping for the remaining 12 and a bit minutes.
We haven't seen too much of Corny, though, involved in all of this, which is really interesting, though, because he is right at the front of this pack. Corny really doesn't have any sort of advantage over anybody else. It is still very much the battle for 8th, and if anything, actually, it looks like Hermach has now started to break away now after Vizzy took that 10th place position. So potentially the two of them might try to work together in order to try and break away from the rest of the field, just to ensure, give themselves a little bit of insurance that they're going to, get that 8th or 9th, and then as it comes down to the final lap or two, then they can debate the extra couple of points or whatever it's worth. So, but as it stands right now, Hermach in 9th position, running very close behind Corny. He's going to get very close to the back of that ESET car as they get down towards the bus stop chicane, but he's not going to do anything for the meantime. He's going to hang back and just follow his way through. But again, Vizzy a little bit off of this. He's about 1 second adrift, but he's going to be keen to try to catch up. He's going to want that slipstream to try and defend from Krejci.
Now Peter Hermach's going to try and make the move. He was quite sensible not to try and banzai that on the inside of the bus stop. That was only ever going to go wrong. But he's going to put... no, you can hear he's backing off there. He doesn't want to try and leave himself susceptible to a counterattack. No, he's backing off there. It does sound like the engine stalls. No, it doesn't. It hasn't stalled, I promise you. It's just the way that it sounds when you're riding on board. He's biding his time there. He's trying to pick the right moment to make the move.
Yeah, I think you're right about that one. He's driving not like a rookie, honestly, because again, a lot of rookies too in these lower points-paying position battles. We're seeing a lot of rookies, which is great to see. Great to see the rookies already fighting for points and putting on a heck of a show for us as well. And I have to say that battle for 8th position probably has been the highlight of the entire broadcast, which is really saying something because we've been having some really great racing for the lead, for 4th position as well too. Some really nice battling throughout the field, but this has been just that little bit more interesting with so many cars involved, so much battling, and if one of them goes for a move on another one, they run the risk of losing out to the car behind, and that's exactly what we see. And that's exactly why we see, I think, Peter Hermach really backing off a little bit and not attacking Thomas Corny, because there is that gap that's starting to form between 9th and 10th, and if they can, I'm sure they would love to try and just eke that out a little bit. But I have to say, over the past lap or two, Eric Vizzy has closed that gap down now, and it is about half a second. So Hermach, pretty soon here, I don't think is going to be too much of a gentleman any longer, and he's going to be looking to go around the outside at turn 1 if needed to try and take that position off Corny, if for no other reason than to just defend from Vizzy behind. Here we go, down towards turn 1 now.
Right on cue. Yeah, nicely done. So outside of turn 1, has he got enough momentum to do it? Not quite. He's going to have to slot back behind Thomas Corny, and now that's going to leave him potentially open to Eric Vizzy's attack. We will see. Equally, Peter Hermach probably realises that the gap between himself and Michael Lenier is way, way too high.
Yeah.
No point trying to do anything too early.
Yeah.
Because again, if he makes the move and gets up into 8th position, he then is the one that is going to be giving the slipstream to Thomas Corny. Again, very sensible racing. Although, is he going to try and have a go on the outside of turn 5? Not likely to work, but no. You can see that Thomas Corny really feels the need to defend. He's feeling a lot of pressure in that ESET car. We're going to see him move down here into turn 6. Well, we've only seen that once, and it wasn't too successful then. A bit wide there, but it's going to carry that momentum back onto the banking. Yeah, again, we saw that from Peter Hermach earlier, didn't we? Where he just hugs that inside line coming through turn 6. I'm not entirely certain it's the best way of doing it, but it seems to be working for him. And here we go again. He's going to close in. Is he going to try and make the move this time? But that's on the way down to the bus stop. That's pretty brave. But he's gone to the inside line. If he's going to get it done, he did. Very nicely done. He had the confidence and the pace to do it. I'm surprised he managed to get that much momentum whilst hugging the inside that hard coming through turn 6. I was about to say, I'm not convinced that's the best way to do it. And then Peter Hermog said, oh, really, sir? What do you, city Englishman, know about racing at Daytona?
Fantastic driving from, again, one of our rookies. Great to see. There's Krejci just closing up to the back of Eric Vizzi as that gap starts to elongate a little bit between 9th and 10th. Vizzi seemingly not that consistent. He seems to close in significantly at certain points and fall back at other points. I wonder if he's got some sort of unique setup where it's high downforce, low downforce, something like that, because there really does seem to be a bit of an accordion effect going on between Vizzi and whatever the car ahead of him seems to be, as he just puts a nose up the inside there into turn 3, just showing the nose to that ESET car, but not really a threat. It's not the longest run down towards turn 4, and turn 4 not really a braking zone either. And that's Lucas Pichota, who I believe has actually closed in on Martin Nadlick. That gap was over a second the last time I looked at it. And equally, he's pulled a gap a little bit to David Pichota. Such a gap, in fact, I think David Pichota may have had a little bit of a mistake, possibly, that caused him to drop back a couple of seconds, because he did seem to be right on the pace of his brother and Martin Nadlick all throughout the entire first half of the race. So it definitely seems surprising to me that he would drop back a little bit like that. Meanwhile, Stefanko still holding on to that 4th place position ahead of Podstata and Sirotech. I loved seeing, I don't know if you caught that shot, Chris, but when we saw the battle for, sorry, what'd you see?
2-place penalty for Lucas Podstata has just come up. Well. Now that is likely to be because of the impact between himself and Michael Lehman.
Yes. I think you're right on that.
Okay, that's quite a penalty. I did not expect that. So that's actually going to give Michael Lehman 6th position, unless that's a grid penalty for next time, but I wouldn't have expected that to have been announced quite like this. But yeah, I've been watching that gap between Nadlick and Lucas Pichota, and that has been dropping down and down and down and down. Not by huge amounts each lap, but Martin Nadlick has not had the pace quite to try that sentence again, quite to keep Lucas Pichota behind him. There is that notification again. 2-place penalty for our champion. Well. The steward's clearly not happy at what the Entropy driver has done earlier in the race. So, oh dear, not ideal for Lucas Podstata in a season that's, I say he was on the podium, but that was, I won't say it was by luck, but he was certainly by the misadventures of others more than it was his raw pace, because in Imola he really struggled to maintain the pace of the leaders. However, one that isn't struggling is this man, the ERT ace of Lucas Pichota, with less than 5 minutes to go. Yeah, he's not going to be doing the whole gentlemanly, I'll stay behind here and push you for a while. No. It is going to be an absolute slog between Martin Nadlick and Lucas Pichota. It's not the first time these two have crossed swords. Certainly not. Yeah, these two are VGP veterans, and already Lucas Pichota trying to make the move. Nadlick's going to have the inside line. He's just got to keep his cool, keep his line. He should be able to maintain that. Whoa, you can see the Lenovo Legion car getting really, really loose coming through turn 1, but he does manage to hold it. But you can see the amount of pressure that Lucas Pichota is piling on to the Lenovo Legion car.
You know what I noticed as they finished the lap to start a new lap? I noticed that Lucas Pichota crossed the start-finish line in 1st position. So he came out of the bus stop in 2nd place, tried to go around the outside to make the move into turn 1. It didn't work for him because with that inside line, Martin Nadlick was able to hold him off. But what did happen was he was ahead as they crossed the start-finish line. That is the Lenovo Legion of Eric Vizzi going very wide through turn 1, and he's lost out to Martin Krejci as a result of that, and if he's not careful, he's going to lose out again to Bruna in the Navitel car, because this 5-way battle for 8th position, continues to rage on. But yeah, I do wonder if Lucas Pichota is going to bother fighting for that to get the lead of the race too hard. I mean, because he certainly doesn't want to throw away any points. Every point is going to be absolutely crucial in the championship. So I wonder how hard he's going to fight that, and maybe he risks Lucas just going for a move, make a dash towards the finish line on the final lap coming out of the bus stop chicane, because he has already proven that he can do it. But I'm sure he would prefer to make the overtake before the checkered flag comes out, just to be, that confidence, to feel good about going into the final lap. Here we go. Once again, this time he was not actually ahead as they crossed the start finish line. He's a little bit further back, but he's going to try for the inside line there on Martin Nadlick, but he's wise to that maneuver, covers off that inside line. And remember, Martin Nadlick, a bit of a tin top specialist as well, so he's going to be extra keen to pick up as many points in the first half of this season as he can.
Yeah, completely. Look at the faces of concentration. I mean, Martin Nadlick looks nervous in that particular shot. It just could be the way that he looks when he's absolutely focused. Again, no disrespect meant in that one. There's the mighty beard of the Lucas Buxton, which I commented on many, many times last time around. Also, Lucas Buxton is kind of testing the waters a bit. He's seeing what line he could potentially use to try and make the move on Nadlick. But he's only got 2 laps to go. We're on the penultimate lap now for how much time was left.
Yep.
And a 3-place penalty for Vizzy. Ooh, the stewards are really hot on the case now, but that we can understand that one. Yeah, that was the moment when he came into contact with Svoboda down at turn 3 a little while ago. And I'm sorry to say, but what the penalty is decided, that is up to the stewards. But I think Eric Vizzy will probably not contest that one too hard. Lucas Buxton, though, really piling the pressure. He's probably not going to draw alongside this time. He'll go high, but I don't think he's going to be able to draw alongside. But Nadlick still feels the need to defend. Is he going to try and bounce underneath? Oh, yeah, flash of the lights. That could be argued as a 2 defensive moves through that turn. I mean, again, we'll let the stewards figure that one out. Lucas Buxton was not happy about that one. Nadlick definitely went high to cut him off, and there he goes again. Whoa, but that was more the racing line that Martin Nadlick was taking there. Oh, it's going to be all or nothing. Nadlick's deep into turn 1. Is Lucas Buxton going to try and use that momentum coming up towards turn 3? He's forced to the outside line. That's not going to work. Oh, it's going to be nip and tuck. It's going to be down to the wire between Lenovo Legion and ERT.
I do think that Nadlick's got the legs on him on the rundown towards turn 4. As I mentioned before, it's very difficult to go side by side through turn 4. He's going to have to go defensive into turn 5, but again, very, very difficult to go along the outside there. It's a very long corner is turn 5, but he'll get a slightly better exit. He's going to close right up to the back of Martin Nadlick once again as they get down into the braking zone for turn 6. A very important corner, turn 6, of course, because then they're going to be flat out all the way down to the bus stop chicane. I wonder if Lucas Buxton is actually keen to make the move, though, into the bus stop chicane. He might hold back and just wait for the run down towards the start finish line. He is going to get closer and closer to the back of Martin Nadlick as they pull off of the banking down towards the bus stop chicane. They go inside line for Nadlick. He feels the need to go defensive, but I think that's exactly what Lucas Buxton probably wants there. Oh, a bit of braking there on the apex for Martin Nadlick. That seems to have killed a little bit of the momentum for Lucas Buxton as he comes onto the banking. He's going to pick up that slipstream now, but unfortunately for him, he's not going to be close enough this time, and I think it's going to be enough for Martin Nadlick to take the checkered flag and the win here at Daytona. Off the banking they come on the rundown towards the start finish line. It's getting closer and closer between the two of them, but I think it is just going to be Nadlick by a nose or so, less than a car length between the two of them, and I'm certain Lucas Buxton is probably going to have a couple of things to say about that. But further back, the battle for 4th position still raging on. Oh no, this is even further down actually. Sirotech has had something happen. He is dropping like a stone down into 12th position. He's dropped behind that battle for what was 8th position, now becomes the battle for 7th position. Hermach leads, Corny right behind. Is he going to be close enough to challenge for that now 7th place position as they get down towards the start finish straight? I don't think he's going to be close enough. It's going to be very similar sort of distance between the two of them as we saw before. Sirotech now down to 16th position, didn't quite put enough fuel into the car, and that is going to be an absolute nightmare for Entropic, who are going to lose out on a lot of points here at Daytona as a result of Sirotech running out of fuel. He's now down into 18th position, and that is the last of the cars still running.
Goodness me, what a finish. But it's Martin Nadlick for Lenovo Legion on the top spot, and then it's the Pichada brothers right behind. My goodness me, Martin Stefanko did manage to fend off the advances of the champion to hang on to 4th, and Lehman 5th. Peter Hermock 6th. Great effort for him, the newcomer, to hang on to 7th position. Then Thomas Corney 8th, Eric Vizzi 9th, but of course with penalties being applied, and Martin Krejci in 10th position. Jan Bruno 11th, David Erbajang 12th, Stefan Kiesel 13th, Thomas Horror 14th, and Michael Schembera 15th. Aldro Stepanovsky 16, Martin Siratek 17, Svoboda down in 18th position with Sheps and Maracek not seeing the checkered flag. Fastest lap, Lucas Pichada, unsurprising there.
In the championship, it is Lucas Pichada that leads the way. Martin Nalick moves up into 2nd position ahead of Martin Stefanko, who also scored well. He's on 34 points, 3 points ahead of David Pichada. Lucas Podstata slips down to 5th position, and he is 18 points off the lead as it stands right now. And we've already got 18 drivers that have scored points this season. I can't remember the last time we had so many different drivers picking up so many points this early in the season. In the Teams Championship, it is ERT leading the way, 27 points ahead of Lenovo Legion, who move ahead of ESET by just a single point. Then it's 9 points down to Entropic, who slipped down to 4th, Mecca Alfredsson 5th. That is going to do it for today's extremely exciting broadcast here at Daytona. Big thanks to my co-commentator, Chris Buxton. Big thank you to all of the drivers, everybody at home for tuning in, and everybody on the production team. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.